Kinetic energy is the energy an object has because it is moving. The equation for kinetic energy is kinetic energy equals half times mass times speed squared. Kinetic energy is measured in joules, mass in kilograms, and speed in meters per second. Let's go through a worked example. Calculate the kinetic energy of a Year 10 student with a mass of 55 kilograms, swinging back on their chair and falling off it at a speed of 0.6 meters per second. In step 1, we're always going to write down the values that we know. Here we can see that the mass is 55 kilograms, so we're going to write that down. Here we can see that the speed is 0.6 meters per second, so we're going to write that down. In step 2, we can then input these values into the equation. Kinetic energy equals 0.5 times 55 kilograms, which is the mass, times 0.6 meters per second squared, because that's the speed. Therefore, kinetic energy equals 9.9. The unit of this is joules, so it's 9.9 joules. Gravitational potential energy is the energy an object has due to its position. The equation we need to remember is change in object's gravitational potential energy is equal to mass times gravitational field strength times change in height. Gravitational potential energy is measured in joules, mass in kilograms, gravitational field strength in newtons per kilogram, and change in height in meters. Let's go through a worked example. A window cleaner whose mass is 65 kilograms is cleaning the first floor windows, which are 2.5 meters above the ground. The third floor windows are 7.5 meters above the ground. The gravitational field strength is 9.8 newtons per kilogram. How much GPE would she gain climbing the third floor? Step 1, we're going to write the values that we know. So here we can see the mass is 65 kilograms. We're going to write that down. The gravitational field strength is 9.8. We're going to write that down. The third floor windows are 7.5 meters above the ground, and the first floor windows are 2.5 meters above the ground. So we're going to write both of those down. So to work out the change in height, we can just do 7.5, take away 2.5, which equals to 5. So we can now start filling in the equation. We can first do the mass, which is 65. We can times that by the gravitational field strength, which is 9.8. And that is then times by the change in height, which we worked out to be 5. This is 3,185 joules. Remember, energy measured in joules, so we have to put our unit. Elastic potential energy is the energy stored in a spring object when you stretch or squash it. The equation is elastic potential energy equals half times spring constant times extension squared, whereas elastic potential energy is measured in joules, spring constant in newtons per meter, and extension squared in meters. Let's go through a worked example. How much work must be done to compress a spring by 4.0 meters if the spring constant is 55 newtons per meter? Step 1, we can write the values that we have. The extension is 4 meters and the spring constant is 55 newtons per meter. We can now use these two values to work out the work done and therefore the elastic potential energy. So elastic potential energy is going to equal 0.5 times 55, which is the spring constant. And then we're then going to times this by extension squared, so times 4.0 squared. Elastic potential energy is therefore equal to 440 joules. You have now learnt about the equations for kinetic energy, gravitational potential energy, and elastic potential energy. You will find a summary of this information below. Make sure you test yourself using the quiz on reviseitright.com. Why are we the best revision website out there? Well, because we Have it all in one place. Revision notes, summary videos, longer, more detailed videos for topics you're struggling on. Exam question walkthrough videos where qualified teachers take you through the perfect answers to exam questions. Worksheets, quizzes, computer marked exam questions, interactive flashcards, forums, the ability to keep track on where you are using our tick list, and so much more. But that's not all. We run at least 3 live lessons a week, and closer to exam time, this will be more, where you can tune into a qualified teacher teaching lots of different topics each week. The lessons will be interactive, and we go through exam questions and quick quizzes to ensure understanding as you go. We also run drop-in sessions where you can drop in, ask a tutor anything live, get the answer that you need, and leave. These are included in our silver and gold membership. This means that for an extra £10 a month, you can access at least 12 hours of lessons a month. That's under £1 an hour, which is incredibly cheap. Still not convinced? Try us completely free for 7 days and cancel anytime, completely free of charge. We offer this because we're convinced that you'll love us. So try us now.